Hello everyone, welcome to another week of Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout. Once again, we've sort of started and we're not quite sure who's going to join us as we go along. Invites have gone out, but apart from the very loyal and lovely Peter, we don't seem to have got anyone come in yet. So, Kristin's missing and he's on her way, but for the meantime, hello Peter, how are you doing?
I'm good, Ammon. Thank you very much. I'm sitting here. We've been enjoying the melodies of Bill's PC going on in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it will do it. Now that we're on air and talking about it, it probably won't do it anymore. But
I can hear it. It sounds a bit like a tanker going down the English Channel in the fog.
Is that what that sounds like? Okay.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. We just need the Needles lighthouse flashing around now. We'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, Ammon's got his special effects. Sorry, go on, Ammon.
Oh, if I close my eyes, I've got the sound of London in the fog.
London doesn't get so much fog anymore. Yeah, only in the movies. Rain and dirty slush. That's London. And sticky heat. So, Bill, introduce yourself. Say hello.
Okay. Hello. My name is Bill Slawski. I'm the Director of Search Marketing for GoFish Digital. And enjoy doing a little bit of SEO from time to time and reading some patents about SEO. If John Mueller shows up, I'll keep mum on the patents, but otherwise I'll mention a few.
Yeah. Well, it's Pierre that really worries about that. I think John's distant enough from the patents; he doesn't worry too much. As long as you don't expect him to comment on them.
No. Good point, though.
Peter, introduce yourself for anyone that doesn't know you.
Yeah, my name is Peter Lunn. I'm a joint owner of a business in the UK called Cracking Media. We're a digital marketing business. We work primarily with video and web, but also touch into social. I've been active on Google Plus for just over a year now, properly active anyway. And so I've been enjoying hanging out and just being part of what's going on with Plus, getting to know Ammon and Bill this evening, and lots of really good people.
Cool. I'm sure touching on social media is a lawsuit waiting to happen. That's just you've got to be careful there. I'm John, and I mess around with the internet and get paid for it. That's pretty much me. So, what have you been up to this week, Peter?
Actually, trying to tie up lots of loose ends because on Thursday I'm off for a few days, so it's the inevitable sort of rushing around like you do sort of last minute before you have a short break. It's almost you need a holiday to recover from the work that you've done, and then you need a holiday to recover from the holiday that you didn't have because you're recovering from the work you rushing around with at the last minute. So yeah, lots of jobs and bits and pieces trying to finish off.
Excellent. David in the audience is saying it looks lonely in there. Yeah, and we haven't got Ellie come to play with us this week either, so we're really missing out. But I've put the link in the event, so anybody that wants to jump in and is camera ready, go for it. Bill, what have you been doing this week? More patents?
No, actually, I've been trying to do some content building, some long-range, high-quality content that maybe will attract a few visitors to the website. You know, this new thing called content marketing. I'm going to try it out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I heard that SEO invented content. Yeah, up till then everything was empty. You know, nobody used words at all.
Right.
It's one of those bugbears for anyone that isn't used to us. You know, is this idea content marketing is new. You know, it's old. It's as old as the printing press. And even before that, there were these people called bards who went around singing and telling stories and earned their money by the content they had, the performance they could give. So Nothing about robots this week, Bill, other than the giant paintball robots.
No. I saw the movie a couple weeks ago, Interstellar, and that kept me pretty amused with its robots. I liked one of the features on the robots, which allowed different levels of programming for humor and honesty. And they said the reason why they had the honesty programming was because the robots had to deal with human beings, and being able to tone down the honesty was probably a good idea.
Nice idea, yeah. That too much honesty is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We certainly have to omit little details sometimes. You know, although you need a certain level of truth, too much truth can be painful. I think social media and all levels of marketing teach us that. Peter?
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think in business we're encouraged to be transparent and to be open and honest and upstanding, all those things, and all those things are very valid. I think the thing is, though, you're right. I think sometimes it's unconscious. Sometimes with your willingness to give them information, sometimes too much information is too much. You're trying to be open and honest, but actually it causes them a problem to know too much. In a sense, it's a fine balance, and I think it's something you can only learn over time. And even then, it's easy to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's and particularly to say, social media and social networking is so instant that you say a word and it's out there for the whole world to see. But at least in Google Plus, you can edit it.
I sometimes imagine, the world of today where content marketing, we've all got to tell our story. It gives us this world where one of these days we're going to...
It's a fine balance, I think.
One of these days we're going to phone up a plumber because we've got this huge leak in our bathroom, and we're going to get one of those automated menus where it's got all of these options. And option 1 is learn about the history of this company, and option 2 is how he got all his qualifications and what they are, and number 3 is hold and we'll wait and get to you. And meanwhile you've got water gushing everywhere. Sometimes you've just got to get out of the customer's way and let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been joined by a few people. Now we've got John Moore. We have Nazib. Oh, brilliant. And we have Kristin.
Woo.
Thank you for the invite.
Very welcome.
I could, of course, say they've all come because they see me here.
What it is? Of course it is.
Of course.
Deborah Norton in the audience. Don't recall the name, so it could be a first-time viewer. Honesty can be technically confusing with clients. It absolutely can. So agree with that, Deborah.
That's a very good point, Ammon, that you bring up, because I've been watching your show when you do the analysis of it, and you are so honest and you like straight to the point that it's beautiful. I love it.
People don't have time to waste.
Exactly.
That's the one thing we do.
That's a very good point. If you want me to give you a dog and pony show, I can give you a dog and pony show. If you want me to help you with your business, I can help you with your business.
Yeah. So, Nazib, for anyone that doesn't know you, say hello. Let us know who you are.
Yeah. Basically, living in Milan, Italy. I moved here in 1992. I married my wife, who brought me over to this neck of the woods from Miami. I used to live in the States. I have a web agency, a digital app agency. I do consulting for Princess Cruises, building cruise ships. And I have a small project about Italian lifestyle called Casa Chiesi, which I run with my wife.
So basically,
brought up the lower third. I don't know if I should do that, but that's
what I'm hearing there is
I'm going to Ammonize, hopefully in the beginning of next year,
yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to, my friend.
So am I.
Yeah.
John, say hello. You were here last week, so everyone knows you anyway.
Yeah. Just the old farmer. I was out this morning cutting down trees and chipping wood and things like that. So I've done my farming for the morning. I'm ready to do technology.
Do you ever still find yourself humming "I'm a lumberjack" when you're doing that? Because I
no, that's because
any kind of cutting of wood without that tune in the back of my head. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Well, you know, I have these big chainsaws and because I'm cutting down wood that's 2 feet across, and so yeah, you're too busy worrying about not cutting your leg off. You know, you really have to be in the moment when you're chainsawing because it's a very dangerous activity. So you can't be humming anything. Or you may be humming yourself to the hospital.
Even with the chainsaws, I'd still be doing. Just couldn't hear me over them. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh, now I'm going to be humming that. See, you've infected me.
Exactly, viral content. That's what we like around here. Kristin, how you doing?
Hey, so I made it in. So today's been a pretty big day. I somehow got on this list, and it's amazing. Like these people, like I don't know, they all have like way huger followings than me, and I just like got snuck in there, and I'm like, wow, Kath, you're amazing. It's just so I'm just kind of floating around today, but yeah.
Cool, excellent. So, who should we pick on this? Well, I'll tell you what, Nazim, since it's your first visit and first time we've really got to hang out. What have you been up to this week?
This week, I've been quite busy with a major presentation for a project that we're doing for Kelly Services here in Italy, and we did the presentation on Monday, and we just, they were quite happy with the whole thing. Let's just see how it goes from there. And let me interrupt something. I'm going to change it. I am so dazzled by your background. I need to learn how to do the disco lights effect. How do you do that? I mean, it's a technical thing. I mean, it might not be of interest to anybody else, but explain to me.
It's the classic thing. It's a green screen background and then a video layered over the green screen.
Okay.
Nice piece of software, handles it.
I love it. I love it.
Mentioned it a few times, but it just lets me very quickly, if I'm doing a hangout for one client, and then I've got another one, then I've got something of my own. It's the simplest clicking a couple of buttons to change the whole look of the scenery around me, or if I want to bring up. It looks
very professional. It looks very TV studio-like.
Yeah, I've got the TV.
Which might work very well for a couple of clients that I have in mind here in Italy. They look at Hangouts and they say, well, there's something missing in the formula here. And when I see your stuff in the background, I'm quite impressed.
The thing is, Nazim, do you know that Ammon's done the sort of the Monty Python impression just now, so any moment it's going to break out into John Travolta's doing Saturday Night Fever.
Well, I know John can do that.
Yeah. I'm resisting so far. Yeah.
You saw that
Hey, John. I see we have John Mew joining us again. Excellent.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
How are you? How's the week been?
It's been good.
It's great. Google Hangouts, most of the people in here, we've commented, we've seen each other in comments and engagements, and I think it's a magical platform, and with huge potentials. Businesses are looking at it, and they're like, I have my clients, and they look at it and they say, yeah, but it's kind of amateurish. And when I get that comment, I'm sitting there going like, well, how about if you look at the aspects? I mean, it's going back to the issues of marketing, viral marketing, the new type of marketing, that they're not, it's to them, it's kind of like, I don't know if we can do this still. And I want some feedback from everybody here in the panel about that. What do you guys think? What does everybody think about that?
I know somebody who does a little small business hangout, don't you, John?
I do, I think maybe 3 a week.
Was that a good segue, John?
I do like the office hours name. I think that fits really well. It reminds me of college campus.
Okay,
Thanks.
good point, very good point. And then you tend to find a niche market for it. I mean, once you get, I mean, I think that the issue here is that it's quite difficult, in my opinion, is that businesses come from a marketing old style background, and they look at this platform and they just they don't see the potential of how the viral aspects of it can happen in niche pockets of what we all do. You know, in the sense that I do Italian lifestyle market, and I'm like, you know, and it can find its avenue as much as podcasts can find its avenue towards a certain direction, which businesses is like, well, we cannot, you know, we don't see, it's something that we cannot assess and we cannot conquer yet. And I think that's the key point why they're not jumping into it, or they might need people like engagers, like the ones that, you know, the people that we know and see constantly that can help them to do that.
Well, I've got a slightly different take on that. I think there's a lot of businesses who still struggle with blogging. They still struggle with the whole idea of social media. So to take them a mile further down the road and say, hey, you should be broadcasting on the internet on video every week. No, you're not going to get there until they've embraced that other stuff. So I think it's the smaller players, the ones who've been using sales letters and can understand video sales in that way, yes, they will leap onto it.
Okay.
I think for a lot of others, they're not ready for it. They haven't thought through a strategy where video offers them anything yet.
Okay.
And that's going to be seeing successes over time. But I do think, you know, coming back to the webmaster helping Hangouts on Google are doing a lot to show how this can be used for business in lots of ways, and I think a lot more customer service could be done this way.
Well, we are starting to see, Ammon, we are starting to see what you're right about that. We are starting to see, like, for example, Tiffany has done they do their thing, but it looks so much like a TV production studio that it comes so close to the formula that they're accustomed, that the TV type scenario. So in that sense, that might work in the sense that, well, we're accustomed to doing it this way, and in that sense, while we're doing it at a certain different level that can find niche audiences, but at the same time, my criticism that I get when I show this stuff to my clients, like I'm talking for, they look at it and go like, well, but the video quality is not quite there, and what happens if it gets, you know, if it drops out and the person drops out, that's not professional. And I'm sitting there going like, what about engaging with new people and new and users, combining business, marketing, and customer service? No?
There's a certain level of authenticity.
Exactly. Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
I think if you're too polished, it's a problem.
Exactly. If it's too polished, it goes away from the direction, and you start losing people that are on this platform for a specific authenticity level that you're mentioning. But that's a very good point.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful that you don't try to pretend you're doing this big professional thing. One of the reasons we do the hangout that we do once a month at the Oceanside Chamber is to try to get businesses in there to see the physical process. We actually ask them to come a half hour early, where we can actually talk about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and they can look at how it all comes together. And so we're trying to physically introduce small businesses to the whole technology of really all you need is this and this, and yeah, we have 2 computers here because we're doing a little extra, but you don't really need it, and then they see the whole process happen in real time, and I think that lowers the bar for them to feel scary about it. Anyway, that was one of the goals of doing it at the chamber offices, was to really be the showcase for doing a hangout. Physically watch you do it.
Is it a successful formula back at the chamber? Is it working? The feedback is positive? Yeah.
Yeah, the chamber's loving it and really supporting us on it. And
we're cutting down the barrier of having, because maybe the chamber before was using, local television to project something so that people would, yeah.
Yeah, in February, we're slated to sit down and try to come up with an actual additional show just for the chamber, for their local businesses to kind of do interview spotlight type thing. So, yeah, we're going to be ramping it up next year for them to do their own show that we're going to help them start producing, and eventually they'll just do it themselves. But we're going to kind of help them get started in doing their own thing, and that hopefully will get more people going on it.
Excellent. Now let me ask another question, and this is always a curiosity on my side. Google Plus, Hangouts, the world we're inside that I'm quite comfortable with, and I think everybody in here loves and adores. The jump towards television, I was expecting sooner or later to see television incorporating film strips of fans coming in and commenting on a basketball show or whatever, and it's not happening yet. Why is this not happening?
Licensing.
Okay, thank you very much. End of story.
You're pretty much taking one person's content and then mixing it with a whole load of others. Well, now who owns it? The guys who added the comments, the guys who provided the platform, the guys who recorded the original thing. The ownership and the shares on royalties on it get so messy so quickly, I think everyone is nervous of going there. But I think we will start to see it later on.
Okay, good point.
Right now,
yeah.
Tough. Patricia, hello.
Hi. How is everybody?
Let me just see if I can boost your volume here a bit.
I've got everything up as far as it goes.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, this is the first time we've managed to get you on a Hangout show. Patricia is a old friend, used to be watching the Susie Chat show, and we were always looking forward to getting her on a Susie Chat, and it never quite came on.
Well,
so
thanks
it's
for
great to have
saying
you
that.
here.
Thank you, thank you. Nice to be here.
And William is lurking there somewhere.
Yeah, William is
on the phone today, William.
It's cold in Kansas. Let's put it that way.
I like that. That could be already cold in Kansas is enough to just.
Like that? It's just kind of cold. William Rock from Kansas. Again, it's cold, but we're gonna make it in a warm front on the weekend, so we'll be okay. And then it'll get cold again. So.
Well, I had heard you guys were sending cold air our way in Virginia, but it's already cold here. You can just hold on to that for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Bill. You'll take it over, and then you'll pass it back. That's the weather forecast from Kansas and everywhere else.
One of these days, I will get my old friend Rude Hine on the show, who lives in Rimouski, Canada, where they have 18 inches of snow by now, and he will tell you about cold.
I've seen some of the temperatures across the world, being that a lot of my friends are not necessarily in the United States. Well, I've got a lot in the United States, but I've got more outside of the United States. It's funny. But it's neat to see the different weather patterns as it's coming and predicting into what we're going to have in the United States. Me, I'm a geek of computers, but I'm also a geek of weather. As my wife can attest to, since we've moved to Kansas, I never really paid attention to weather, other than a ski instructor. I mean, that was snow, good. No snow, bad.
No, but well, I have to say that we went right recently. We've gone through 7 days of constant rain, major flooding in Milan, Genova, huge flooding, and today was the first day of sunshine, and the forecast looks good. So,
that's good news, though.
Yeah.
And again, Nazim, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Milan, Italy. Yeah, I moved here. I left sunny Miami in 1992 to move to Milan, Italy. I love it. Good coffee. Once in a blue moon, I do miss that nice sunshine on the beach in South Florida.
So Milan used to be such a fashionable city. Do you still have to really think about how you dressed when you go out in public? Do you still have that? Because
people are obsessed with that over here in Italy. I mean, whenever it's very funny. Whenever my wife doesn't matter too much about it, but whenever I go out with jeans and there's a hole in there, my mother and father-in-law looked at me and going like, and I'm like, just a cut in the jeans, and they're like, I don't know. You might be. Yeah, they're very obsessed they're very obsessed with dressing over here in Milan.
So it used to be a fashionable city until Nazim turned up. Is that right?
I tried to bring down the standards.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah.
Did you ever actually, Nazim? Did you ever put, you had a slash in your jeans, but did you ever have the safety pin?
That's another period in time.
It's serious. This is the age of the show, right?
I know, you're right about that, Willem. It is the age of the show. Now, you know what's very funny? Having worked I developed websites for major corporate, Versace. We worked with Brioni. And with Versace, it was very funny because I would show up dressed up the way I'm normally dressed up, and they would look at me and go like, why aren't you wearing Versace? And I'm like, that's a dangerous question because I'm like, okay, they're clients of mine. Should I? And I'm like, no, guys, I don't feel comfortable in this stuff. And I have to say that they were quite on. I carried on the contract for another 10, 15 years, so that was fine with that. But I was expecting, you're not. But yes, they are a bit obsessed about clothing here in Italy.
I can totally relate to you on not wanting to wear something. I worked for a company. It was a motorcycle apparel.
Okay.
Talk about difference in culture. I mean, you've got some weird stuff that those guys wear, but it's cool. But at the same time as representing the company, do I wear it or do I not wear it? And if I'm at a SEO conference, do I wear it or not wear it?
Exactly. Very good point. Very good point.
I was at SMX Milan last week, so I was really close.
Oh, if we would have met before, I always, as always, and I always do this, I always tell everybody, whoever comes by Milan, ping me, we'll go out for drinks, I'll take you out we'll go out to my local dives here. It'll be more than a pleasure. And I have a couple of people lined up for next year. I think Mia Boss has promised that she's going to be over here in March. Chef Dennis might be coming over. Because I'm dying to do an HRL. Here in Italy it's kind of difficult because, as everybody knows, Italians on Google Plus, very few. So most of the people I know across the board, I try to invite them, everybody coming over to Italy. And I'm hoping that will happen soon. But if anybody comes by Italy, please give me a ping up. It would be more than a pleasure to meet you. So so you were in Milan, last week, John?
Yeah, that was great, except for the weather, of course.
I know. It was boring. You were in the middle of a flood.
Yeah. I came from Switzerland. I thought, it's kind of gray and a little bit cold in Switzerland. I'm sure it'll be sunny and warm in Italy. Go towards the south.
But John, are you living in Switzerland?
Yeah, I live in Zurich.
Oh, cool! I love Zurich's a great town. Great place.
It's nice.
I'm going to be in Lugano next week, but it's not as close to Switzerland as Zurich as possible. But let me know. Do you come often to Milan?
Not really, no.
Ah.
No, it was a work do. It was a Google event.
It was okay. It was a Google event. Cool.
Well, it was the SMX conference, so it was interesting. But like you mentioned with the clothes, it's very different than other kind of SEO conferences, where in other places people run around in T-shirts, they're like suits.
Here it's looking sharp, and they look at you like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Oh boy, that's all I need."
Just be glad that the fashion for the men bags has gone, because a couple of years back, it was hard to walk around Milan and not laugh.
I know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're right about that. It's like, oh, there's so many fashion victims in this city. That's just not funny.
Now, I expect that must be quite different in Amman. You've probably got the best weather and the least worries in some ways about fashion sense, I would assume. Or is there still that fascination with cars?
I haven't seen any men with bags recently, I have to admit. Yeah, no, it's very relaxed here. Everybody wears just what they want.
Yeah.
How is the weather in Amman at the moment?
I think it was about 20 degrees today.
Okay.
Celsius, of course.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was quite nice.
Yeah, comfortable. That's not bad at all.
I was cold. But maybe it's better I don't say that.
That's not cold. Come back to Brighton for a week, then you'll really appreciate that.
But you know what? I love Brighton. I was there. I was there for a conference of. It was web related because Brighton is full of web agencies and web companies. And can I tell you, that is a fun town. I like Brighton. Yeah. Pub crawl in Brighton, and then the seaside with the piers going out with the old structures. Very magical. A type of England that slowly, it's kind of like it still hasn't gone out the door, but it's still present.
That's right. It's still present. As Ammon will tell you, I grew up around there. Brighton was one of my haunts when I was very young.
Very nice place, and it's close to London too, which is great. You take the train and you're there in half an hour. Roughly 40 minutes if I remember.
40 minutes, yeah, 40 minutes.
I was there for a conference with Clear left, which was about 6-7 years ago. Web company, and it was quite interesting.
I was there in April, which is when I saw Ammon for the Brighton SEO.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's one of the big events in Brighton these days. It's grown a long way. It's the biggest SEO conference.
Is it an expensive city to live in?
Not to me, but I grew up in London.
Okay.
London is hideously expensive.
Yeah, London is. I go quite often to London. London is quite expensive.
So compared to London, it's cheap, but that means everyone moans about the prices there. It's still within commuter distance. There's a lot of commuters from Brighton to London because it's only 60 miles. It's 1 hour on the train.
1 hour, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I thought it was less. It's 1 hour.
Well, actually, you can get to the outskirts of London in 40 minutes, but if you're going right into the city, then yeah, it's an hour.
Yeah.
And then Peter, where are you located? I keep forgetting the name.
I live in a town 90 miles to the west of Brighton called Bournemouth. Also on
there you go, Bournemouth. Yeah.
But the thing is, we've got sand. We've got pebbles.
Yeah. Does Aslan lives in Bournemouth too, right? No.
Yeah, Aslan lives here too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which sounds like a fascinating place because it sounds like a very relaxed place to live in.
Yeah, we're very chilled here, very chilled. That's good.
I like that. I like the chilled English atmosphere.
we do sometimes take the mickey that the Americans have a map of England where every town is named London.
Well, I've been lucky enough because I know very well. I know Southampton. I'm quite familiar with. because Princess Cruises is the main offices are in Southampton, so I go there quite a lot. And then I'm familiar with Brighton and and then London. Yeah. But no, Americans think about London. That's it, London, and the rest is non-existent.
Yeah. But you do still hear the thing. It's this classic joke in this country is, when you got an American say, "Oh yeah, I went to visit Scotland, England." Yeah, and then you went home to America, Canada, did you?
Ammon, you're being mean.
Oh, no,
although I think it could work if you say Canada, America, because we're in the American continent.
North America, yeah. And it's the same kind of divide. You call a Scotsman an Englishman, he's going to react the same to you as if you call a Canadian an American.
Yeah, same.
Maybe a little less.
I would say so. But what's very interesting about America, because I lived in New York, Miami, San Jose, California, and then my cousin went to study in Norman, Oklahoma, and we went to Norman, Oklahoma, and that was kind of like a totally different place, but it was very, very interesting. But America has its vastness that is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And diverse, obviously.
Which is, I think, the biggest challenge for us here is understanding that America isn't a country in the way that most of Europe has countries. It really is a set of states, and those states are so different.
So different.
It's much more like a tour of Europe to tour America than any one country.
No, you're right about that. Very good point. Very good point.
Here's a quiz question for you then, folks. How many of the British Isles could you fit into America?
Ooh, that's a tough one. British, I would say 20.
Okay. Anyone else want to have a go?
It's at least 50, I would say.
50.
Okay. 20, 50. Anybody else?
I think it's a trick question. It's none.
They're probably
No, it's not trick. Are you saying I tricked you, Kristin?
Yeah, you're pretty
Put it
witty.
this way. The British Isles would fit several times just into Texas.
That's true.
Okay, just inside Texas, you're going to fit the British Isles about 4 or 5 times over easily.
Into Texas. Okay, so 20 still, okay.
Anybody else want to have a stab? I'll give you the answer.
It sounds like a trick question, though.
No, it's not a trick question.
Okay.
About 100.
Okay, 20, 50, 100. Any more takers?
William.
I'll go with 101.
Okay.
It sounds like the price is right,
I'll take a vowel.
I'll take a vowel.
I would probably have to back up Kristine's 0 probably because it's so huge, right? I mean, there's all sorts of different properties that are involved at this point, but United States is complicated enough. I think 0.
On square kilometers, and I know you guys in the States don't do square kilometers, but on square kilometers, the USA is 9,826,630 square kilometers. The area of the British Isles is 313,341 square kilometers. Therefore, the British Isles will go into the USA 31.36.
Whoa! I almost. Who was the closest answer?
I think Nazim was the closest, but by quite a long way out.
Do I get a prize? Do I get like a free web hosting?
I'll tell you what you get, Nazim.
What
Nazim, you get a free jelly baby.
I was hoping for like free web social media consulting for a year.
Red jelly baby for you, Nazim.
Okay, well, put it in the mail. They might stuff it.
Nazim, I'll send you a link.
They might stuff it at customs here. You know
how? A PR8.
PR8.
And after saying that in front of John Mueller, we didn't hear from William Vogt for the next year.
If the Google gods have to ban me, it's okay. I understand. history goes upon itself. But I've been a spammer forever. Sorry, John. Oh.
Oh. No.
That was very interesting. That was very interesting.
It's good
I like
thing.
that.
No, I think the worst thing that can happen to anyone that buys links is that you let them buy them. Most of the time, they're buying their own funeral. If links
I love that. Buying their own funeral is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Very good. Very good.
Oh wait, it's a panda moment, or no, penguin moment. Oh.
Penguin moment.
Think about it. The people buying these are the people you don't want to be associated with, and this goes exactly to buying followers. You get somebody, we'll sell you 5,000 followers, right? What else do you think these people have followed? Anything they've been paid to, anything so unpopular it doesn't believe it can get real followers. So now you are the product of choice, followed by pedophiles, nutcases, zealots, people that have been paid to follow whatever, now like you. This is your profile. This is who your audience is. Bad idea.
No, yeah, it sounds like you have to do a job of cleaning up all this, to get a more engager-oriented, true followers that really like what you're doing or what your content is about.
It's one of those things, don't be tempted to go along.
I am not interested in that game.
It's a thing years ago, back in the creator site days, and John will remember this one, as will Bill. But we used to get people asking about, reciprocal links and things like that. And I used to say, it's a terrible idea. Reciprocal links themselves, in those kind of schemes, you follow us and we'll follow you. It's like having two shops where they say, look, I'll buy £50 worth of stuff off of you if you buy £50 worth of stuff off of me, and then we're both £50 better off, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I got an email today that asked me to exchange links, and I looked at the calendar to see what year was on it. Uh-huh.
Well, Bill, to add to that little controversy there, I've just gotten a recent one that actually came from a Hangout. And it was so recent to the point where I thought this guy was serious about his marketing. Really serious about it, because we've been on the show like multiple times. But he wanted to actually ask me, William, do you have any really good PR, high PR links? And I replied back, and very nice, and said, have you looked at a couple of things that Google's doing now? That if you look back to the history of 2001, I mean, Bill, you know that one. 2001, was it Florida? Florida update knocked out all sorts of different things. They all thought it was the .com boom.
2003.
2003. There you go. I'm sorry. 2001 was the first beginning of them finding that through artificial intelligence. But that's just history, though, right? I mean, fun stuff. But then you go back to even like last week when this person asked, how do you respond to something like that? That's kind of a difficult question when they know that you're actually one of those people that hunt spammers for linking.
Yeah. It also goes back with them to the days of banner exchanges, sharing banners back and forth. I had a couple of clients that were doing that. I'm sitting there going like, do you really want this banner exchange to go on? It's like, it's kind of detrimental to what you guys are doing.
And they had no idea, and they still don't. It's hard and difficult to watch the people that are coming in reporting. John, I apologize, you're on the show, but the people that I hear in the forums, the forums, they just thousands of them, and they just haven't figured this out. And I don't know how we're not making the message clear. It's been historically all the way back to the ages of Matt Cutts coming out as Google guy.
Right.
I disavowed over 3 million links last week. I am the victim of a negative SEO program. I like to disavow. I don't know how well it's working. No idea. Only people at Google know, and I'm not going to ask John because he probably doesn't know.
But Bill, what you're actually disavowing is negative, and you know that it's coming in for certain sources, and there's a lot of that happening. We've seen it. But
I wish I knew what the sources were, though. You know, it looks like the sites have been hacked.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that happening, but also DDoS is actually another factor. I'm sorry to be bringing SEO into this, guys, but when you I've seen a lot of negative.
It's a fine topic to bring up.
Well, here's the other thing that I've been seeing, Bill, that you're probably going to find, and I don't know, Bill, John, how we're going to handle this, but you've got DDoS attacks happening that are taking out websites for a specific time frame. And that's actually not just dropping the recrawl effort, where basically it used to be, okay, crawl 3 days, crawl 5 days, crawl 2 weeks, and still see if that actually is still errored out. But if the webmaster doesn't have control of the entire site, and say I actually inject it with an SQL injection attack, and I knock out the actual buffer overload in the server, then the server crashes and everything else on that server crashes. So.
Yeah, but I guess at the same time, like, there are more...
I apologize.
But I guess at the same time, there are more and more things you can do nowadays to kind of protect your site against that. You can use like the content delivery networks, things like, I think Cloudflare is free. There's some other ways you can set up a free content delivery network to kind of protect your site from those kind of attacks. So I think to some extent, these are things you could kind of harden your site against. And these kind of attacks, I guess, have been happening since the beginning of the web. I remember when I put my first web server up, it would get hacked within, I don't know, a couple of days all the time, until I figured out how to actually kind of protect it from all of this craziness on the internet. But
one of the aggravating things that's happening to me is it's not my site getting hacked. It's all these other sites getting hacked, and they've copied my template and attached it to pages on these other sites, and it's got a number of links pointing back to my site, but they're selling Uggs boots and other merchandise on these pages, and courtesy of my template added to these other sites' templates. It's kind of messy looking, but
no.
You know,
I think to the largest part we probably figure that out on our side, but if you see these things happening, if you disavow them, it kind of takes the worry off your mind, I guess, because it's kind of taken care of then.
Yeah.
The one that's really annoying though is that if they're doing negative SEO, the one they mostly do these days is they find the redirect scripts that are open, where if you land on this page with the an extension on the query string, a query string on again that gives the URL you want it to go to, it will bounce through. Google was indexing these, and when it was giving the link report, it was giving us that page, the redirect page. It wasn't going back to where it had come from, and you had to disavow this site, and when you look at this site, this doesn't have a link to you. Google says it doesn't have a link to you, but the Webmaster Tools reports that's where so you couldn't clear both things. You were stuck with this report of a whole load of links that aren't there because of that, and that was as annoying as hell. It really was.
But that's, I don't know, I see that as a kind of an old school thing. I remember when those kind of redirects were really popular, before people realized they should kind of lock stuff down. But yeah, I can totally see how that could be annoying.
Yeah. The other one, of course, is locating the old proxies. You know, some of the web proxies that were out there, where again you can submit that URL, you can put that URL in. That's supposedly linking to you, but it isn't. It's whatever's going through that proxy. If it hasn't been set up to be identified properly as a proxy and it hasn't been made no indexable, again, big.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for us is an annoyance. For some of the small businesses out there, that is screaming level, because this is all complex stuff to them, and then one of the first things they can come across in the event of some negative is, you know, that kind of thing. What do they do? I do feel for them sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you see these things, if you see them happening, it's kind of frustrating if you try to clean them up properly. But I think for the most part, we figure this stuff out on our side. I mean, all of this negative SEO stuff, these DDoS attacks, all of that isn't necessarily new. We have a lot of practice with that kind of thing. And I think we have a lot of practice also from the ad side, where all of this used to be like targeted at AdWords in search, or AdWords on other people's sites. And these are things we kind of have to deal with. Otherwise, that part of Google doesn't work either. So kind of taking that knowledge and passing that on is good. But it's definitely tricky for people who are like new to the internet, who need like help to figure things out like that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, there's another issue that comes up with us in the sense that we do a lot of fashion websites here in Italy, and also occasionally there's a phone call from, okay, why can't they see, certain people in Vietnam cannot see the site. It's like, why is that happening? So you got to dig in deep and see, okay, has it been blacklisted by the provider in Vietnam? You know, it becomes a whole nightmare that you're sitting there, well, it's visible all around the world. Why is it blocked in certain positions and certain things? Is it because something happened and hijacked and gone through a whole series of things? That it's a constant job that, you know, that other people, you know, when they're like, well, I don't understand what is a DNS attack? What's happening here and there? It's quite complicated.
Yeah,
it's the nature of the platform, obviously.
It's still a very easy system of distribution compared to the trucks we had before the internet.
That's very true. That's very true.
So, you know, it's all positive. It's annoying, but it's all positive. And
very good point.
I do think security, though, generally is something everybody does need to become more and more aware of. I know that on G+ we've been seeing a few more hangouts and things about security.
Yeah, very good point.
The number of people using WordPress sites now, and of course all kinds of extensions and plugins, and a lot of them don't know how safe these are or not. So,
WordPress sites, you have to really know how to lock them down because they tend to be quite prone to attacks or to have people trying to bring them down. I don't know. I don't want to make a comparison as opposed to other type of sites, but you know that is an issue.
I think with WordPress,
a whole can of worms here.
You did, Nazim. I was getting ready to jump in, but go ahead.
No, I know.
Yeah, with WordPress sites, the problem is you have so many amateurs using it, and they tend to not think about those things. They go in and let's look at 10 different themes, and then they leave the theme on, and then their brother, sister, cousin tells them about a neat plugin. They install it, they look at it, they turn it off maybe, they leave it sitting there. I've gone in and seen plugins that are like 2 and 3 years old, you know, and then they're going to get hacked like crazy. People just don't clean up after themselves because they don't realize that all that is bait for hackers.
That's a very good point. I totally agree with you on that. It's a totally great point because people just start adding all these plugins that do neat things and then they forget about them. They don't deactivate them, what you're saying, and then later on, you know, it's kind of like, oh, well, and not only that, apart from the hacking issue, it kind of slows down the site and adds a whole series of things to WordPress that are not, that kind of make it, like, you know, hog it down.
But not only deactivating, but you need to delete it because if you deactivate it, the file is still there.
That's a good point.
You can still create a URL to that file even if it's deactivated and hijack it. So it's got to be completely removed. You deactivating at the beginning.
Yeah, John, to add to that, I mean, before you install a plugin, you know, one of the things I talk about in a lot of the conferences I've been talking about security-wise is before you install that plugin, do some research. You know, run out, look at the plugin, you know, type in that plugin name and say hacked in Google search and see all the different things that may actually interrupt your website. You might install something to install Facebook app, right? And then all of a sudden you've got a feed coming in, but you don't know what that code behind that is really doing.
Or how it's been built. Correct?
Correct.
Another point for all WordPress people using WordPress, please do a backup before you install. You do an upgrade. You do it's just do a backup of what you got, because how many
clients a couple of takeaways here.
And it's like, okay, the site's down, so we got to,
Let's grab a couple of takeaways here. So let's give some really easy guidelines for people. First, we'll do how to do a backup and how important it is in a moment. But the very first thing is, how many plugins would you say an average site should have? And what's a worry level for anybody? How many plugins would you say you should be aiming to have as a maximum? I'd probably say 5. Anybody?
I was just going to say, I was thinking the same number, Ammon. 5 to 7.
Yeah, if you're getting over that, then you probably are just doing too much.
Guys,
I mean, as lean as you possibly can.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I have to disagree on the number, because it depends on the site level and what you're actually trying to accomplish. Now, it also depends on the competency level of your IT and who's managing the actual application. Are they constantly going out and looking in your behalf to security updates, vulnerabilities, and are they patching those accordingly, as well as the updates and installs? I mean, you could have a great website, but if that thing's not updated, you're done. There's all sorts of different things comes out every week. There's always vulnerabilities. Doesn't matter to your text editor that you use to post in WordPress or Joomla or Drupal. CMS is open to everybody, but so is HTML, though. So even if it's a WordPress or a straight HTML, that doesn't mean that we're not vulnerable based off a limited number of plugins. But what are we limited to based on our security level of our entire infrastructure?
Okay, but as you said, these things are going on every week. That's a lot of man hours to securing something to have more than 5 plugins. When really did you need them? So I would still say 5, and after that, understand what cost you are spending on keeping up with the patching for all these extras, and make sure it's adding that much bottom line value to your business, because if it isn't, get rid of them. Focus on the 5 that deliver the value.
Does that include...
Go ahead.
You're saying.
I was just going to ask if that includes the SEO plugins.
Yep.
There's so many SEO plugins out there. Yoast is the most popular one, but there's also variations on the theme. I think one advice I would have is don't mix your SEO plugins, because it makes a mess.
Exactly. I've gone and seen people with 3 and 4 SEO plugins active simultaneously.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Big mistake.
I should probably let you all see mine, just to give you all a really good...
And on that note, I'm going to go out, be back in 2 hours.
I probably have about 40.
John.
40?
John, you were about to say something just for Kristin asked her question.
One thing I've been running across a lot recently is that a lot of sites are basically almost into too much trouble just by having a site that they run by themselves. So a lot of situations I'll see like a really small business that has a blog and they run it on WordPress and it gets hacked, and they don't really have anyone who can help them fix this, who can set it up properly. A lot of these sites are just better suited, I think, going with some kind of hosted solution where someone takes care of security, someone takes care of basically everything. They can set up the theme however that works well for their design, but basically everything else is just taken care of. And then you don't have to worry about getting hacked. You don't have to worry about staying updated. I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of sites. I guess the tricky part is it's so easy to just plug and play install WordPress, and then you think, oh yeah, well my server is set up now. I click the button on my hosting panel, and now I'm all set. And they don't realize that there's so much more involved with maintaining a website for the long run than just like doing that initial install.
Yeah, you always need. I think I agree with you, John. Is you only need a consultant or somebody that can help you out with this. I mean, we've been doing web design and websites since 1995. We're recently started to look at WordPress. We had our own proprietary system, CMS and .NET for major sites like Versace. We built a dedicated system. Now we're looking at WordPress, and WordPress comes from a blogging background. To say that, it started out as a blogging platform to look at. And now, obviously, you can do wonderful things with WordPress. And the magic about it is that you can have a website up like this, really fast.
Yeah.
But you have to also look at all the stuff that you're mentioning and having. It's not like you can just go in. Okay, I got a template up. And then when problems happen, most people that don't have the support system, and in here, I mean, Lee Rixner is another guy that from London. He's a WordPress guy. Our specialty is not WordPress, but we played with it, and it's quite an interesting platform. But you always need to have people that can help you out in the sense when there's what you were mentioning before, going back to the fact that WordPress sites can be more hackable. Well, you got to look more at the IT server support, the whole thing that involves that, and then it becomes a whole issue of consultancy.
I think there is this level
where
people get things that they don't necessarily need, and it's something in most of us. Men are more prone to it than others. Let's face it. If a guy needs to chop down one tree in his garden, he doesn't get an axe. He doesn't get a saw. He wants to go out and get that chainsaw. At last, he finally has an excuse to have a chainsaw, right? And it's a little bit like that with websites. Oh, I need a website. Right, I'm going to get a CMS. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. And what they need is actually a 3-page static website. There's a lot of small businesses out there that really is all they need. John and I were having this conversation just after the TNT bootcamp, and there's a lot of people going straight to WordPress when they're really not ready for it. Honestly, a small static site and doing your posts on Facebook and G+ will often get you a lot more benefit than having a blog you really don't have the time to devote to.
That's a very good point. I totally agree with you. I go back to Mies van der Rohe that says less is more.
I don't know how many people that I have put WordPress sites up for, and then I talk to them, 2 months later. Hey, have you put any articles up? No, I haven't gotten to that. So they've got this WordPress site, and they haven't put a single. I mean, the purpose of it so they could blog. Well, they haven't blogged. I mean, I know one guy who I tease constantly. He's had a WordPress site for almost 2 years. He has yet to write one single article, not one. Yet, why does he do that? And now he's actually talking to me about redoing his site in WordPress. And I'm going, wait a minute. Hold the fort. So yeah, there is this focus that that you've got to have all these goodies. And yes, I think cutting one tree down is a good excuse to have a chainsaw. I've got 3. And I'm getting ready to buy a 4th. I'm going to get a small one, so when I'm up in the tree, I can cut limbs down without using 2 hands.
That's a very good.
I've got a whole wood lot, so I got a good excuse. I have more than 1 tree.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. But I think another thing that's very interesting about the commentary that we're doing is that how many times have we dealt? I've dealt with clients where okay, we're going to build a website, we're going to build the back end, the front end. Are you guys able? Do you have a content team or people that are going to be able to keep this thing going? Oh yeah, we got the interns, and we got they're going to help. And then you find out that the interns are running around doing other things in the company, and the website is dead. I mean, we have a case in point, and I can mention this because I don't think they're going to be watching this, but it's a very famous fashion blogger in Italy. We built a website for her, beautiful website. We cannot put it on our portfolio because there's nothing in it. And I keep talking to her, and she's like, well, I'm always on Instagram. And I said, yeah, but you hired us to do this website. You paid us a lot. We were payment, but the site, there's nothing in it. It's an empty container. I discussed this in the initial meetings with them and said, are you guys going to, oh, yeah, I got a team of interns. There are 3 people that are going to be behind us constantly. Nothing. So that is quite frustrating in the sense of because we're in the business of doing stuff that is really wonderful, with the tools that we have, but sometimes, the clients just, or they say, well, I don't have the time. And it's like, well, then why did you hire us to do this whole effort?
Then I think there's the other scenario where you can create this beautiful site. It's all looking fantastic. The CSS is spot on, and then you have to take that out of your portfolio as well, because within 3 months of getting it, the customer completely trashed it by, creating yellow text in blue backgrounds and stuff like that. But what can you do? Just you can try and educate people, but you can't do much more than that, really.
I have to say that I have mixed clients in the sense of some clients they're very, very good, and we've had very good, and their websites, they've carried it through, and then with support from us, they're being able to. Other ones are very, very, they constantly call you up, so you have to have like a support package where like, okay, you're going to call me 10 times a week, then we deal from here, and it ends up at the end that they say, well, can you do the content insertion for us? I'm like, that's not what we typically like to do. We like to have your marketing department, your company do this because your company understands the products better than we do. But if you want to send it over to us, I'll charge you this much. Oh, well, okay. Well, so it's not the ideal situation I like to be inside. I prefer that the clients or the people that hired us are happy with what we've done for them. Then we teach them how to basically own the site that they created, that we've created for them, and then they progress with that,
That's a big.
It's kind of going back to social media. I think there's a dilemma with social media. It's the same thing. It's like social media. Some companies will hire you to do social media for them. Find that a little bit difficult because how can you get in the mindset of a company?
Nice. Yeah, one of the problems that we run into. Oh, sorry.
Already 10 minutes past the hour.
Oh, okay. Go
We'll
ahead.
probably keep
Go ahead.
on chatting, but thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you with another Totally Bogus Hangout next week.
Okay.